and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. So today you will notice I'm not alone. I have a person in my house. So Hannah has come to stay, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to film some videos, make some movies, and create some awesome content for you while we're together, basically. So a lot of you guys ask me all the time about divine feminine work, like what you should be doing, and I have done some videos on it in the past, but Hannah's like the perfect person to bring into this to answer kind of what we should be doing as a divine feminine, what the heck it means, and what we can do continuously, I guess.
Yeah, it's about I think it's about a continual practice of softening ourselves, essentially.
Definitely.
Because we are very, very tapped into our masculine aspects, and I think it's about us really as females moving back into that softer space, realizing that we redefine how we look at success and we redefine how we feel about ourselves as well, because I think there's a lot of pressure on us. There's a lot of masculine pressure on us to kind of do, be. There's a lot out there right now, and I think it's really important for us to kind of shift this, pull back, and look at things differently. Look how because I know you're very much in your masculine a lot of the time, aren't
Thanks,
you?
Hannah.
Yeah, but you are.
I am.
You are. But you get things done, which is brilliant. Yeah. But I know for you sometimes you do like it when you soften. You like how you feel when you do soften yourself into your more feminine side. And I think that it's possible for people to realise you can get things done, do what you need to do, and remain softer and more in alignment with your cyclic nature, and be more connected to yourself in a feminine way, and still be successful in
Still we're badass.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about getting the right definition of what the divine feminine means, rather than thinking it's just this kind of person that doesn't do anything, that's kind of, we think of it as, I just think we don't think of it as something that's getting things done.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's getting things done in a way that's in alignment with us without us getting ill and stressed, because I think what happens to a lot of women, we become disconnected from ourselves, our cyclic nature, and in the end it makes us tired, it makes us fatigued, it affects our skin, it affects our periods. And truly, to get in the divine feminine vibe, it's about coming back to yourself, looking at your cyclic nature, looking how you connect with the seasons, looking about how you approach things. Do you approach things in a kind of more aggressive manner, or do you try and look at things in a softer way? And I think it's because very often, if you're dealing with men a lot, or if you're dealing within that thing, we feel we've got to turn that on. How can we get things done or be taken seriously if we're in this airy fairy cyclic way? So I think it's standing the balance between the two. I don't know how you feel about
Definitely
about
totally
that.
agree. Like, you know, I've come from like quite a corporate background in like my work history, and obviously running my own businesses. My extreme couponing business was like very in the male sphere, like very male orientated.
You said that from...
And it was just really hard, because not only was I young, not only was I doing this by myself, but I had to feel like I constantly had to prove myself. I constantly had to be like, you know, people would try and screw me over, brands, companies, because I was dealing with men. They would try and like fleece me out of money, or, you know, just belittle me, flat out belittle me. And I used to reply to them and be like, excuse me, you want me to promote your company and you're belittling me? Fuck off, basically.
Yeah, and that's, I think this is the problem, isn't it? And I think it's finding a way to feel good about yourself as a woman, feel connected, feel you don't have to create this persona, but also know that you can go out there and perform in the way that you want to perform in.
I think it's almost like, as well, I feel like since I've gone more into my feminine, and like what you said about the skin's so true, because this year, as I was really like learning to balance my masculine and feminine aspects, a lot of my divine feminine was actually attacked by, you know, external things. So like all the right side of my face, and it was all the right hand side, which is the divine feminine side, was like covered in acne. Like, it was really weird. Like, the left hand side of my face was like perfect, and the right hand side was covered in acne, and I was like, this is crazy. And obviously you can account for hormone imbalances and stuff, but
which comes from the stress in the first place.
Exactly. But it was just so weird that it tied into the whole divine feminine side of stuff. But yeah, like, as I've kind of softened and really embraced the divine feminine into my work life as well, and, you know, instead of having that tough persona, I feel that almost I feel like I'm more respected by the men in who I work with now, and it's obviously different as you work in the spiritual sphere compared to the corporate sphere,
and that will make a difference.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different kind of businesses now anyway, but I feel that I can actually get my point across, be not stern, but I can be firm and not be taken for a ride, shall we say, but in the right way. Like, I feel it's more respected.
And I think as well, it's learning to, if you own the persona that you're whatever you're doing, so if you are wanting to be in that softer mode and be more connected to yourself, if you truly own that and you're in alignment with that, people will take you seriously anyway. And I think the more that we do get connected to ourselves, people notice it. We change. You stand in your power more. You reclaim those bits of yourselves. It's really important when we're going through these processes to almost actively say out loud, when we're kind of in those moments of stillness, I reclaim those lost parts of myself. We have lost so many aspects and bits of ourselves as we grow up and we feel we have to be a certain way. We give away those pieces of ourselves to kind of stick on other bits. And when we move into these spaces, it's our job to kind of reclaim those lost pieces and own them as our own and let them be who you really truly want to be, rather than being what you think you should be doing. Because this is what it comes down to as well. It's thinking a particular way we think we need to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas actually we're all different, and that's okay. And it's actually saying to yourself, I don't want to be like that, and I'm not like that, and this is who I am. And if someone else isn't like you, that's also okay. And I think it's finding that balance, because I think if we're looking for inspiration outside of ourselves, very often we're looking at people we admire or who inspire us. We can get very lost in that as well. Yeah,
definitely. And then you're kind of, I know for a fact that I did that for sure, and then I really had to call it back and be like, no, you literally can channel this stuff, and like inspiration, ideas, you can channel it all. And when I did that, I felt so much more, I just enjoyed it more, because I was like, oh my god, this is an awesome idea, and like this has come through me, and like, oh my god, like, so it is really like knowing that you're capable enough, like not giving your power to anybody else, or like saying that it relies on anybody else, like a man, happiness, marriage, anything like that. It's saying like, I'm a badass woman, I'm whole, I'm complete, I can be soft, I can be firm, I can be literally what I want. Like, and I was actually having a conversation with one of my clients about this the other day. It's like, we were talking about struggling to actually balance out the masculine side in a really positive way. And I was saying to her, I was like, but when you try and like say that being in a masculine's bad, look at it like, okay, so with masculine sides, it brings the execution to your ideas, but the feminine side is the birthing, it's the creative
and I think
side.
It's allowing things to birth. When you do reclaim yourself and you get into that more divine feminine mode, you realise you're able to birth those things through you.
So much easier.
You have this power centre within inside of you. You can bring those ideas and you birth them through you. And I think that's what's amazing, that we're no longer looking to the outside, and you can bring those kind of ideas through you. And I think it's worth remembering as well, so many people come out after being doing very well, and they end up talking about the kind of problems they've been having with their health or their cycles, or I see it all the time. And I think that it's really worth remembering, we never know what's going on behind closed doors with people as well. And once you've created something with yourself, we often feel we can't shed that because people might not like it, people may respond to it, which you understand that. People can be very reactive to change. So I think everyone's always afraid to kind of connect with that. But the more you are connected to your divine feminine, you will be able to be more flexible and fluid with how you want to change. And the more you own those changes, people will own them as well.
Definitely. And like, an example of that is when I went from coupon queen to spiritual queen. Like, I was very in my feminine to transform into spiritual queen. Like, I just, realized that was what I wanted to do full time, and that I was going to start my couponing business and I was going to write the book as well. So I know that I did that fully in my feminine, and it just felt that support. You had that support from the universe, from myself. I believed in it, and everyone embraced it because that's what was meant to happen.
Because you believed in it as well. And I think that's what it comes down to. And it's asking yourself those key questions. What does the feminine mean to you? And connecting with that. Why is that important? And how does that feminine energy make you feel? How do you want it to make you feel? And what's your because look around, what's the kind of information you've received about your feminine energy, because we are, you know, fed with ideas as we grow up, and it's really important to pick those ideas apart and work out what it means to you and what works for you as well. Not what, because a lot of the stories we tell ourselves are from long ago that we've picked up, and we've continued to tell ourselves those stories. And when we really get into that divine feminine mode, it gives us the ability to be able to kind of rewrite and unpick those stories, unravel those stories, so to speak.
Definitely. And like, what would you sort of say about womb work? Because the womb work comes up a lot and I don't really know about it, to be honest.
I think it's, like I said about connecting to your cycles, I think it's realising that as women we have this space in our body that often we see periods in a very negative way, because we see them as inconvenient. Yeah, we've both said the same time. Pain, you know, maybe we're going to feel a bit agitated. There's so many things around it. If you can change the way you think about your cycle and this amazing area that gives you these periods that, you know, makes a human. But not only that, it's a center that if we start to understand our cycle, we can see how we're feeling, because we do, ultimately, we all know that we feel differently throughout our period cycle, but we are disconnected from it. When you start to connect to those energies of and how you feel during that cycle, you can use that in a positive way in your life. Not only for, you know, for kind of feeling better in your life, you know, when you're in tune with that, but also when you feel more powerful to do something, and it gives you that ability to know when to rest more.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think learning to rest, when we're in our divine feminine, it's understanding there are times when we're going to need to rest, and not seeing rest as a negative thing, because that's still a massive thing that, oh well, I've got to keep on going, you know, and rest is for the weak. Rest is good. Rest allows us to kind of pull back, create space. When we create space, we allow good things to come in. It allows us to expand. That is part of the divine feminine process.
Yeah, and I think it just gives you a chance to really just evaluate everything and just, you know, change direction if you need to. It just allows you to kind of check in with yourself more than anything. And, you know, this is definitely something I've read in Lisa Lister's book recently. Which are
fantastic. If you want a good place to start from, Lisa is the place to go to. That, for me personally, I would definitely say that. Yeah. And I think it's recognizing, like, put your hand on your stomach. What does your womb space mean to you? How does it make you feel? What are the kind of messages you have around your womb space? Because if you can't get clear about those ideas and things, you know, you're going to stay disconnected. So you need to get clear. Once we're clear, as we know, always wherever you want to go, you can make way to move forward. You can start to unpick these things. You can start to track your cycle. You can start to see if there's a place in the month which makes you more productive, if you have a week where you feel you can get more things done. And, you know, we're all different. You can read up on this and you might think, well, that doesn't necessarily apply to me. Yeah. You work out what works for you. And that, again, is when we're truly in our feminine, we're so connected to ourselves, we understand ourselves enough without having to look to the outside always, which is really the kind of main key thing of that goddess, of that priestess energy, which to allow us to embody as women.
Definitely. So what would you say, like, your top tips or practices would be to really just keep practicing being in your divine feminine and just be empowered?
I think my top tips would be, like what I suggested about getting connected to your womb space. Really, and I know for some people listening, they're probably going to be thinking, I'm having an horrific time. I've got, you know, all these issues down there. It doesn't feel a very good space to connect to. That's all the more reason to connect to that space, for sure. That is for sure. Or you might have a fertility problem and it's going to be a place where you've had a lot of issues, but it's definitely the reason why you should be connecting to that space, because it's part of you. And I think it's like not disconnecting from that. It's remembering that it's part of you. Also, getting clear, like I said before, on what divine feminine means to you, what being in your feminine means, and how you can own those aspects in your life. Break it down. Unravel the stories that you're telling yourself, and kind of I always like to think there's always going to be a story which is at the top. Make a list of those stories which have more of a kind of pull on you and start from there.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like wounds or inner child work, isn't it? You kind of start where the wound is essentially and kind of address it. And I know when I did womb work practices and meditations and things,
I think meditation
so
is I think really what will really help anyone is to do so, which you can the good thing about YouTube now, there's loads of content on YouTube. You know, because I think people think, well, I don't feel comfortable, I don't really know where to start by myself. You know, there is content on YouTube. Like we've said about Lisa Lister's book, there's a lady called Alexandra Pope, Red Power. That's a more kind of more serious book. Not that Lisa's isn't serious, but I think hers is really relatable and easy to understand. She speaks a great language for women to connect to. I don't know if you found that with her books, haven't you?
Lisa's, definitely. Yeah, I haven't read Alexandra's, but... And what about your friend Amy? She does some quite good work as well. So
I have a friend, Amy, and she talks all about, you know, getting back and empowering ourselves with sexuality, holistic sex. And I think it's all connected.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
as women, the one thing that we need to really start to come back is to rewrite how we think about sex, how we feel about it, and take that kind of feminine energy back to ourselves, because we do have a masculine approach with sex. I mean, I know definitely, and I know I certainly we laugh about it, but I have done, and we need to unpick those ideas again. And I think it all interconnects, because we need to not be performing for the outside. We need to start doing things for ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's also looking around us, because remember that the women that we've been around us, they will have their own wounds, and it's kind of remembering that we often mirror the people around us. So it's really important to get clear on that as well. And we can all help each other. I think, like, I know, like, we've bounced off each other.
Definitely.
When you start to kind of really get in touch with this energy, it's really important to be open with the women around you and find out where they're at as well with it, and how they feel about it. Because when we share and we're open and we enter into that space, it starts to feel safer, that we can be true to the person we want to be.
Definitely. And I think sometimes, like, with a lot of spiritual work, not just divine feminine stuff, but everything, sometimes we can just feel a bit crazy. But when you have someone who you can trust and open up to, and you kind of vibe with, like, you do just trust it. And, you know, even if the other person is like, I've got no idea what you're going on about, like, at least you have that safe space where you can share and heal from it, essentially.
And I think that's the thing about the divine feminine energy. It's not been safe for women to do that for a long time. We've been in a very patriarchal, you know, society for like hundreds and hundreds of years. And, you know, women have had a certain place. So it's coming back. We have this energy and consciousness. So it is, you know, it's something that is going to take time, and it is happening.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also remembering that, you know, there are places this isn't happening as well, which is why it's all the more important that when we are privileged enough to be able to have that safe space to do it, that we do give this a chance and an opportunity to do that.
And when we do it, you know, it helps the collective as well. It's helping the greater picture. So it's not like you're just doing it for yourself and you feel, you know, oh, it's only for me. Like, when you do it, it's helping the whole divine feminine
Absolutely.
as a whole.
And also encouraging other women to kind of own themselves and their cycles, and know that if somebody's been feeling they've had to be a certain way for so long, that actually I don't want to be like that anymore. I want to drop that side of me, that they feel they're able to, because when one starts, it creates a ripple effect. And I think that's always worth remembering. When you start, the people around you might think you're a bit batshit. I mean, I've had this a lot. I mean, I admit, Emma, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're still saying it to me now sometimes. But when one of us starts creating, it starts a little mini revolution. And I think that's a really key thing, is never be afraid. You think, well, none of my friends are doing that, no one else around me is talking about that, they're gonna think I'm a little bit crazy. You know, the good thing is with the internet and kind of the networks, like for instance, your Law of Attraction group, there are places you can go to talk about this as well, where maybe if the people around you aren't quite vibing yet, it's always knowing now we are so lucky we have that.
Yeah, definitely.
But when we do start something and people notice a change in you, that's a really powerful thing, because once people notice those changes,
they start doing it. It's
because
like
they
law of attraction.
It does create. And if someone sees someone owning it, no matter how crazy their idea is, it does plant this seed. And I think the whole thing with this divine feminine thing is remembering that within our womb spaces we can plant those seeds. We have that ability to plant those ideas within us, and that area is birthing that energy through us. And changing the way we look at our periods as well is transformative.
It really has been for me. Like,
yeah,
you know, like I said, with my skin, my acne problem over the last year, you know, I changed my pill this time last year, and like everything just went out of sync. My periods weren't regular, my skin flared up, like so much happened. It was really weird because obviously it was very in tune with what happened in my life over that year period. But now I look at it like, now I've changed my pill, now I'm like really, you know, looking after my body, tracking my cycles, being really conscious of it. I naturally do feel more in my feminine, and my skin's improved and my health's got better. It's really weird. Like, you would think, oh,
it's
those
small changes.
Yeah, definitely.
Small. And for some people, you know, and it's not about negating if you do have a medical condition. I know that from I live with that. It's remembering to do what works for you, and I would say that to anybody. Doesn't mean you suddenly don't stop taking your medication or so. It's about finding the ways, like small ways, making small steps that are going to help you. Definitely. And just reconnecting back to yourself, because it doesn't matter whatever space you're in, there's always a way to make a small minor improvement. And that's worth remembering, that don't feel despondent if it feels like we're talking about something that feels so far away from you. Just remembering you can make those small steps and move forward, even if it's just a small amount, and you will notice just a minor change.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's been so lovely to have you on here.
I love it.
I'm not alone. I've got people.
And you've got good lighting, Emma.
Amazing lighting as always. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. I will link Hannah's website and Instagram down below, so you can go check out her work. She's also got a podcast as well.
Yes, subscribe, listen.
Yes. It's called
Finding Grace.
I don't know why I wanted to say Everyday Grace. That's
no, it's Finding
book,
Grace.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm plugging Marianne's book here.
It's Finding Grace, and we're having lots of conversations with all different types of people, like a whole wide range, isn't it, really? So it's not just, it kind of veers even a bit away from, it's not just kind of spiritual based. It's because I like to think of everybody as a kind of collective, so we can learn from everybody's experiences.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll link that down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave us comments in the comments box down below.
Yes, leave comments,
because I will reply to them all, and I'm sure Hannah will. And I will see you in my next video, which will be next week. Thank you for coming on.
It's all right.
Lots of love, guys.
Bye.